Hello everyone. As we have discussed in the previous slides, हमने कुछ फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज डिस्कस करी थी एसिड्स एंड बेसिस की और साथ ही कुछ केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज भी. एंड वी आल्सो सेड कि देयर आर सम मोर प्रॉपर्टीज which are common to both acids and bases. So now let's discuss them in the another slides. Now let's see what are some of the common properties. As you can see over here, the acids are the good conductor of electricity. But what makes them a good conductor of electricity? As you can see in these reactions, HCl, H2SO4, HNO3, all of them have hydrogen, and you know that all these three are the acids. What is their behavior? They ionize to give hydrogen ions in the aqueous solutions. So in all these reactions, hydrogen ions are common, and this release of these hydrogen ions is responsible for their acidic properties. So we can conclude that the compounds which contain hydrogen atom must be a good conductor of electricity. Is it like that? Chalo, let's see. Is it true or not? So to check this, let's conduct an activity. We have taken 4 beakers A, B, C and D. In the beaker A, glucose solution is taken. See the formula C6H12O6. In beaker B, an alcohol or ethanol has been taken with the formula C2H5OH. In beaker C, dilute hydrochloric has been taken, and in the beaker D, sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH, has been taken. Now all these 4 solutions contain hydrogen, isn't it? If you see the apparatus setup, all these solutions are connected with the battery and a bulb. So now when the current is passed through all these 4 solutions, what will you observe? Will the bulb glow or not? Think over it for a moment. So have you guessed something? What will you observe on passing the electric current through all these 4 solutions? Do you think in all of them the bulb will glow? No. In the beaker A, which was containing glucose solution, the bulb will not glow. In the same manner, in the beaker B, which was containing alcohol, again the bulb will not glow. Beaker C containing hydrochloric acid and the beaker D containing sodium hydroxide. In both of these beakers, the bulb will glow. You must be wondering why. Although all of them were containing hydrogen, but still the bulb is glowing only in the beaker C and D. So why does this happen? Because electric current flows through the acids and bases. Because acids and bases ionize, that means they break into ions in their aqueous solution, while glucose and alcohol do not ionize and do not form the ions in the solution. So can we give the common property? Yes, both acids and bases are the good conductor of electricity, but remember they must be dissolved in the water. So we should have the aqueous solutions of them to make them a good conductor of electricity. Now let's see how the acids and bases behave in water. Acid HCl, when dissolved in water, it get ionized into H plus ions. H plus ions combine with water to form hydronium ions, H3O positive. These are the hydronium ions. So whenever there is an acid dissolved in water, hydrogen ions will always combine with water to form the hydronium ions. Similarly, in the base, as in the case of sodium hydroxide, in presence of water, it also ionizes to form sodium ions and hydroxide ions. One more base I have taken over here, that is magnesium hydroxide. Remember OH group is always present in the bases. So magnesium hydroxide again ionize in the presence of water to form magnesium ions and again the hydroxide ions. So this ionization makes them a good conductor of electricity. So now you know that acids and bases ionize in the aqueous solutions. Now let's conduct one more activity to prove this behavior. Now what we have done in this activity, take 1 gram of solid sodium chloride, the common salt, in a dry test tube. Check it that test tube must not have any sort of moisture. After taking this solid sodium chloride in a dry test tube, add a few drops of concentrated H2SO4. It also should not be the dilute one. As soon as you add concentrated H2SO4, you will observe that some of gas is coming out of the test tube. Due to the reaction, this one, sodium chloride reacts with sulfuric acid to give you a salt sodium sulfate, and you can see HCl over here. But this HCl is in the form of the gas, hydrogen chloride gas. Now, if we say ki this is an acid, of course HCl is an acid. So now let's test it with the help of a blue litmus paper. Bring a dry blue litmus paper near the mouth of the delivery tube. You can see a delivery tube is attached over here through which the gas is coming out. So now what happens, as you bring this litmus paper near the mouth of the test tube, and we know the acids turn blue litmus red, so it should turn red in color. But what you will observe, it doesn't change its color, it remains blue only. So does it mean that HCl is not an acid? No, it doesn't mean that. If now you moisten this litmus paper a little bit, as soon as you now bring the moist litmus paper near the mouth of the delivery tube, you will see that the color changes to red. So what do you conclude with this activity? That means somehow water is required for its ionization और to show the acidic behavior. तो अब क्या हो गया, ये जो ड्राई HCl गैस थी, जैसे ही ये वाटर के कांटेक्ट में आई, now it has started showing the acidic behavior and the blue litmus paper turns into red. तो can we conclude कि water is necessary for the ionization, isn't it? तो यही important है कि acidic behavior कब होगा किसी भी एसिड का, जब कहीं ना कहीं से मॉइस्चर या वाटर प्रेजेंट होगा. Is it okay? So as we have seen, the acids ionize in water to show the acidic behavior. Otherwise, the nature of the acid is not acidic. Remember that. In the same manner, bases also ionize to generate hydroxide ions in water. And the bases which are soluble in water are called alkalis. Sometimes you get the question, what are alkalis? So simply, the bases which are soluble in water are called alkalis. And since all the bases are not soluble in water, so we can say कि all alkalis are bases, but all bases are not the alkalis. So now whenever we mix an acid and a base, we know the reactions are known as the neutralization reactions. So we can view now this neutralization in the another manner. HX. HX represent an acid while MOH represent a base. So whenever these acid and base combine, they form a salt MX plus HOH. HOH simply we can say H2O. So again the double displacement reaction takes place to form a salt and water. Due to the formation of the water, we can say that hydrogen ions from the acid and hydroxide ions from the base combine to form a water. Again, one more very important point to be discussed. Whenever we add water to anything, we know the solution becomes dilute. We already know that. So in the same manner, when we have to dilute the acids and bases, this process is known as a dilution. While diluting, what we are doing? We are decreasing the concentration of the ions, that is hydronium ions or hydroxide ions per unit volume. This process is called dilution. Whenever we add water to the acids or to the bases, a large amount of heat is released. That's why the dilution of acid is a highly exothermic reaction. So one precaution must be always maintained while diluting the acids and the bases. The concentrated acids should always be added to the water, and not the water should be added to the acids. Why? Can you explain this thing? Why we should never add the water to the acid? Simply, since the heat is being released, so whenever we are adding drop wise the acid to the water, the heat released is absorbed by the water. So the chances for the spilling of the acid are minimum. While when we are doing the vice versa, that is we are adding water to the acid, already the acids, concentrated acids, are having so much heat, and if the heat is being released over there, the acid might spill, the test tube, the beaker might break, and you might get burned. So this is the very very important precaution to be taken while diluting. Always add acid to the water, not the water to the acid, and that too always drop wise and by continuous shaking. Remember that. Let's have some test your understanding with some questions, and these questions, remember, are also important from the board point of view. The first question you can see: why should the curd and sour substances not be kept in brass and copper vessels? Why not? Because curd and sour substances always contain acid, and as you have seen, the acids react with the metal, brass and copper. Brass also is an alloy of copper and zinc, and copper. So all of them contain metals. So whenever the acid react with metals, they form some toxic substances. So that's why we should never store the sour substances in the metallic vessels. Okay, hope you have understood. Second one: which gas is liberated when acid reacts with a metal? Remember, hydrogen gas. Illustrate with the help of an example. You may take any example, give the chemical equation, and how will you test for the presence of this gas. Third one: a metal compound A reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce effervescence. Remember the effervescence. Whenever we open the soft drink bottles, we get the effervescence. The gas extinguishes a burning candle. A bigger hint for this, for to identifying the gas. Write a balanced chemical equation for the reaction if one of the compound formed is a calcium chloride. This is another hint for you. So the gas extinguishes a burning candle, which shows the gas released is a carbon dioxide gas. And since the compound formed is calcium chloride, the metal compound should always contain calcium. And if you remember, whenever the acids react with metal carbonates and bicarbonates, the gas released is a CO2 gas. So you can do this question very easily. Fourth one: why do HCl, HNO3 show acidic character in aqueous solutions while solutions of glucose and alcohol not? So simply you can say due to the presence of water, since water is necessary for the ionization and glucose and alcohol do not ionize in water, that's why they never shows the acidic character. Fifth one, why does dry HCl gas not change the color of dried litmus paper? Again, due to the presence of water, it may change, and due to the absence of water, the color might not change. Why it is recommended to add acid to the water and not water to the acid while diluting an acid? Just now we have discussed the addition of water to the acid is highly exothermic in nature. So to prevent any accident, the burning of the skin, anything, we should always add acid to the water and not the vice versa. Hope you have understood these things very clearly. Thank you. Our next topic will be pH. How to measure the pH and how to determine the strength of an acid and a base.